I will bring up the chat just in case anybody has any questions. Okay, let's get started. So, how to start writing. I put this masterclass, this presentation together for people who need to do that, start writing. But this is for people who have never written before, or maybe you've written 10 books, or maybe you've written one book, but you have gotten stuck somewhere in the process, whether it's like right at the beginning. For me, I got stuck after 3 books. I didn't know how to start writing anymore. And I feel like that's a really common problem that people face, like that writers face, is one you feel like once you've started a book, you should just like be on a roll. Like you start and you finish a book, but you can get stuck anywhere along the way. So this is really for everyone, is what I'm trying to say. And then if so, before we move forward, if you feel comfortable answering in the chat, I want to ask you what your identity is in terms of writing. So for me, for example, my answer would be I am a full-time author, but I've never published a book before except on Wattpad. So if you guys want to say, I've never written a book before, or I've written one book and I'm publishing it soon, Sam, go for it. And then maybe we can just see like what we're working with. If it takes you guys a second to get your chat up, that's totally cool too. And participation is absolutely optional. Um, but yeah, go for it. And then we can kind of see like maybe there's some people who have something in common or not. But I want you guys to know that every single one of your answers is a valid place to start. You could tell me that you've written 100 fan fictions and now you don't know how to start, and that's cool too. Thanks, Sam. Okay. So while you guys do that, I'm just gonna do my is that yeah, okay. Um, Sorry if I like skip slides early and like things move around. This is my first time doing this. Okay, so general outline of my talk today. Um, these are the main topics that I'm going to be focusing on, and it is no longer in that order, so just bear that in mind. Um, I'm super ADHD though, so be prepared for me to like veer off track a little bit. I have some notes that I'm just going to be like referring to kind of try to keep me on, but I am going to make at least one point, and you can be prepared for that. So, without further ado, welcome to the How to Start Writing Masterclass. Thank you guys all for your messages in the chat, by the way. That's awesome. I can't wait to like go through the chat more later. The reason I'm doing this is because I was telling Sam this earlier, but I have like really felt a pull towards speaking lately, which is crazy because I'm someone who cries giving presentations, or at least I did in high school. And I hear confirmation here, confirmation here. It feels like coincidences, but I know that it's really not. And I've been listening to a lot of talk about calling and following your purpose. And it all seems to have come at the perfect time and added up to this moment where I'm doing this right now. So, this presentation is about all the little things that you can shift to produce change where you want it to. It's not just about writing. It's going to be framed in terms of writing, but technically you could apply a lot of this stuff to, general life as well. It's a lot about mindset, and I think that people don't really realize that. I really want to build a community where I can share what I know with people who have questions. I have a very large community over on Wattpad, and I used to get literally hundreds of questions about writing. And so one day I wrote like a little book about it, just kind of summarizing all my thoughts and what I'd learned along the way. And now it's 7 years later, and I realize I have a lot more thoughts and I have a lot more things to say. And so I'm just hoping that I can answer someone's question or clear up confusion or just make one person's writing journey a little bit easier. I just want to take the guesswork out of this super lonely profession slash hobby that we have. and that we're, trying to pursue in some way, shape, or form. So, why should you even listen to me in the first place? You're here already. I've trapped you. I don't want you to leave. You can if you want. But um, I'm 25 years old. Little little fact about me. I'm a baby in this, but I so the first number, 46,000, that is the number that represents the size of the community that I've built on Wattpad. And there's more, there's TikTok, Instagram, whatever, but I've built a pretty sizable community over on Wattpad with my dedication and consistency, and it's been an amazing ride the past 7 years. If you don't know what Wattpad is, it's an online reading platform that's really popular for its Harry Styles fan fictions. At least it used to be, and now a lot of their romance novels have turned into like movies and shows. But it's a lot more than that. It's a place where anybody can write and anybody can read. And I think it's just an amazing, just like the idea of this platform, and it's the reason that I started, and it really kind of opens up opportunities for people who don't call themselves writers yet. The next number is 40 million. This is how many people have read one of my three books that have been published online on Wattpad. So when I say I haven't published a book, I mean like traditional or self-publishing paperback. But I have published them online, and they're kind of like first, second drafts with minimum revising. But 40 million is a lot. Apparently, that many people like to listen to what I have to say. So I'm hoping you guys can get something out of this too. Seven, that is a tattoo that I have on my back, but is also the number of years since I wrote and finished my first three books. So I have been at this for a while now, and I have learned some things along the way. 300,000, that's the number of words I've written in three books. They were quite long for romance novels. One of them was actually around 140,000, I think, before revision, so way too long. Um, but I've been doing this for a while. That took a lot of hours to do. And then 802, this is the number of notes in my phone currently. Most of these are ideas about stories, characters, plots, whatever. Just the word vomit of what I think about day to day. And you don't just create 802 notes overnight. So, a little bit about me. I've been writing most of my life. I started with, like poetry, short stories, essays, class projects, mostly in school. But I didn't call myself a writer until literally last month. I quit my job as a personal trainer to write full time, and I still didn't call myself a writer. Even when I finished my first novel, my second, my third, it was just something holding me back from this identity, this like calling myself by the name of a writer. I also didn't have it in my like Instagram. It was just my pen name, Alexandra Marie. Now it's Alexandra Marie Writes because that's what I do. I started writing my first novel when I was 17 years old after a really traumatic car crash that led to lots of injuries. And it kind of just changed my entire life. Not exactly for the better, but I used writing as a tool for me to like vent my feelings, and it allowed me to connect with people. My best friend is here in the chat today, and I literally wouldn't have met her without creating my first story. So I do believe that everything happened for a reason. If the car accident hadn't happened, I wouldn't be where I am or have the people that I have in my life today, and cannot bring me to regret it even for a minute because of that. But it's turned into a tool that's allowed me to connect with people and create community in a way that I never was able to before. And when you get into this, you realize how lonely it is, and there is a way to feel so much less alone and just spread love, you know, we just have this amazing opportunity and this amazing kind of platform that we build for ourselves, and if we don't use it for that purpose, then why are we doing it? So that's my why. That's why I do it. So we'll get right into it. Enough about me. Let's get into writing. So, first question, is it more than a hobby? Is writing more than a hobby to you? It's okay if it's just a hobby or if it's your full-time job. This is for everyone. But because you're here, I'd take a guess that, maybe it means a little bit more. You're willing to spend an hour of your time just to like learn about it a little bit from another writer. Maybe it's called to you recently, or maybe it's been calling on and off for years. That's how it happened for me. But once it starts calling, I'm going to refer to writing or, whatever it is, as your calling. Once it starts, it won't stop. So for 7 years, I was so on and off, so wishy-washy. I wouldn't call myself a writer, but I would keep coming back to writing. I kept looking for my career, but then I kept coming back to writing until I realized that, maybe I could have both. Other people do it, why not me? It brought you here. So consider this your start. If you haven't tried it out, I haven't had a chance to read the chat yet, but we're gonna do a little exercise. I want you to close your eyes. You don't have to close your eyes. And I want you to ask yourself, if I never wrote anything again, would something feel unfinished? If you feel comfortable, if you answered yes, you can send it into the chat. Um, I know I would if I never wrote again. If I got so stuck and I never wrote again, so many worlds and so many characters that I haven't brought to life yet would absolutely feel unfinished. So thank you guys so much for sharing. So it seems like writing is all of our calling in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't mean it needs to completely take over our life the way that I have let it do for me, but it's important to you. Maybe it brings you joy, maybe it frustrates you more than anything else, but that's what a calling is. So, a hobby versus calling. So, first of all, a hobby is something that you enjoy doing when you have extra time. It's like it's relaxing, it's fun, and it's optional. That's the key word there. It doesn't carry pressure for you. If life gets busy, you can drop it. A calling is something that you feel pulled towards. It's calling you. It's scary and it feels like it's part of who you are. Someone literally said, like, Ruth said, writing is part of me. It is inconvenient. That is the key word for that one. You don't just want to do it. You have to. You're meant to. Like there's something more inside you that's calling you to do it. So I like to take it outside of myself. So you can think of it, there's a voice calling you, maybe. You can think of it as God or another deity if you're like religious or spiritual. You can think of it as fate or the universe. Or a good one is it's your heart. Like something inside your heart is calling you to write. It helps me to separate it from myself this way because it brings my purpose outside of myself. It becomes less about me and more about what I can do for others with it. So, like, I thought writing could only ever be a hobby for the longest time, partly because I always saw myself in a role that helped people. I went off to school to become a doctor. Then I dropped out and I still searched for, that career that would bring me that same sense of satisfaction. And I became a personal trainer working one on one with people. And then I quit that because I realized I can provide service to people in any position. I can work at a coffee shop and still I'm providing service to people, but I have so much potential to help people in this position that I find myself in. I have so much reach as a writer. Like what better way to spread love and understanding than, talking to hundreds, thousands of people at a time and making them feel less alone. It, like, for me, it happened so gradually over the past 7 years. I always thought it was a hobby and just something that I'd come back to when I had time, but I was so I was drawn back to it every single time. I kept getting lost, but like that was my path, and I know that now. Oh, sorry. Haven't talked about this slide yet. So, how do you work as a writer? You need to understand how to work before you can work efficiently. Sure, you can just like jump right into it, but it's probably not going to be as efficient as it could be if you narrow down a few details. So this can come with practice, this can come with reflection. Love reflection. That's a great way to do it. But every writer has their own style, and this shows in their work and in their work ethic as well. It's not about talent, it's not about waiting for inspiration, it's about understanding yourself. Everybody has a rhythm, a style, a process. All of these things are going to make it easier for you to write. You can start writing without a plan, without any sort of knowledge about how yourself and how you work, but that doesn't mean it's not gonna make it any easier for you. It's not gonna make it, you know, like helpful to jump into it when you finally make the time for it. Um, you have to learn your patterns and build a system that supports you. That part is really key. So just like anything, you build a system to support your passion, and it's practice just like anything else. So, like, I didn't just suddenly wake up one day and decide I'm going to brush my teeth twice a day because for some reason I'm going to do that, like my parents told me to, but I learned that I had to because it's important for my health. I did it whether or not I wanted to. Sure, like skipped every once in a while, but like you have to brush your teeth, so you're going to come back to it eventually. And then one day it became odd if I didn't do it. And that's what habits are. You create a habit, you set your priorities, and you do it every day until it's weird that you missed it, until it's weird that you didn't do it and you know you have to get back to it the next day. I like maybe you don't work well with distractions like every other person on this earth. Maybe when you're at home, you have unlimited distractions. So move to a different room, move to go to the Starbucks across the street, try noise canceling headphones. Mommy's busy right now. She's becoming a writer. Like just set some boundaries with, your with your family, with your kids, making time. That maybe that's part of your process. So I want everybody to answer in the chat right now. What is one distraction that derails you every time? And I want you to know that that distraction, that is your new job to come up with ways to overcome that. So for me, my distraction is my family. I still live in a house with my family, and if I do not leave the house, writing won't get done. And so I know that if I choose to not leave the house, I'm choosing not to write. It is, once you are aware of a pattern, it no longer it's not a pattern anymore. It's a choice. Yeah, phone, social media, that's so fair. The doom scrolling. Okay. So next, going past distractions, we're going to talk about more about like what kind of writer you are. So there are multiple different kinds of writers, plotters and pantsers. This is like Plotter is like the person who plans out the entire trip's itinerary before you even like book the flights. And then the pantser is like, here's my credit card, I'm coming along. Um, there's also a third option. There's someone who's a little bit more in between. This I like to think of it as more of a spectrum. So there's not just like I'm this one, or I'm this one. We see where we fall on it, and you can tell a lot about yourself and what kinds of distractions, what kinds of obstacles are going to get in your way once you identify that part of yourself. So, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being I need a full outline to write, and 10 being I'm opening up a document and I'm praying that I'm writing today without a plan. Where do you fall? This number is going to be a clue for you. This is going to be something that you can take forward and you can explore a little bit. For me, I'd say I'm like a 6 or 7. So I'm pretty high up. I'm like not quite a plancer, but not quite a pantser. I'm more in between those two. Um, and this is like really tough for me because I will procrastinate by outlining when I work best without it. And so this is we'll get into like procrastination and stuff like that, but this is gonna be a clip. Sorry if my dog just like goes crazy. Um, hopefully she'll stop. She's a little bit reactive. Um, Okay, so I was literally just talking about this with my friend before. I was like, just wait, my dog is gonna go crazy because somebody's gonna walk past my house and they're not allowed to, apparently. Percy! Okay, so fear and resistance. Um, when I mentioned tests earlier, this is what I meant. So, sorry about that. Okay. So once you say I am a writer, you will start to be tested. You're not necessarily going to recognize them as tests at first, but every challenge, every speed bump, these are going to be opportunities to prove that you are who you say you are. So I like to think of this as like a video game. I am passing all these levels with flying colors. It's so easy. And now I get to the boss. I can't beat it at first. But if I'm playing a video game, I'm not just like beating myself up for not completing this level with the big boss man because I've never done it before. I haven't passed this test before. I haven't passed this level before. I don't know what I'm doing. So I have to keep coming back to it. I have to keep passing. I have to keep learning about this boss, learning about this part of me, this obstacle or this little tug of resistance that keeps showing up in my life, but I don't recognize it as that the first time. But then maybe the second time, the same, you get to the same boss, and now you know a little bit more about it. Now you have more tools to deal with it. So fear and resistance, they are going to show up in the form of these tests. I like to refer to them as tests, or maybe they're bosses. I like the video game metaphor as well. But again, every test, it's not just like something getting in your way. It's not just like don't look at it like that. It's an opportunity to prove that you are who you say you are. I will, maybe I'll publish a book and nobody will read it. And that will be a test too. That would be a test because I say I'm a writer, so it's my choice to give up or to keep trying to prove that I am who I say I am. And these show up in like teeny tiny little forms. They show up in when you wake up and you go on your phone instead of writing, for example. They're all tests and they happen all day, every day, and they suck. um, but it's really important in the beginning stages to set tiny little goals so we can kind of get past these. So they have to be tiny little goals that are super easy to accomplish, and then you celebrate them when you do accomplish them. This is like, I wrote for 5 minutes today. I'm going to buy myself a coffee. Like for me, it was a donut. I literally bought myself a donut and I would stare at it while I was writing. And I'd eat half of it when I was halfway through as like a little, like the Skittles in the textbook, if you've ever seen that. And then I'd finish the donut when I finished my tasks for the day. And that worked. Like I literally did it every day that I promised myself a donut. And I was eating donuts every single day, but like who cares? Because I was getting my writing done. And I completed my deadline and like yay me. Those were amazing wins because I was proving that I was who I said I was when I'd never done it before. Um so this helps you to build trust in yourself. This is what integrity is all about. You have to prove that you are who you say you are. You have to keep the promises that you make to yourself. Because if you keep setting these impossible goals or even like just high goals and you don't succeed in them, you are just proving to yourself that you're not who you say you are. So why not set the goals small at first? Why not give them no deadline, and then and it allows you to, to accomplish them, and then you feel great about it, and then you keep going, you keep setting more. So you are a writer, just so you know, whether you write or not, I don't care. If you're here, I think you're a writer. So for my writers out there, I want you to think about the last time that you meant to write, but you didn't. And then what was it that stopped you? So you don't have to send it in the chat. You can if you feel like it. But when was the last time you meant to write and then you didn't because something stopped you? Whatever it was, think about it. Has it shown up in your life more than once? Because maybe it's your video game boss. Okay, chronic pain, so fair. I've lived through that after my car accident, and literally took me 5 years to just like get off the couch. It was so awful. Um, but eventually I asked for help, and that was the best thing I could have done. But for me, like the last time I meant to write and I didn't was probably yesterday. I had a decent excuse, but like maybe not good enough. I had gotten blood work done the day before and I felt super tired, and then I didn't get a good sleep. But I could have done 5 minutes, but instead I just chose to do zero. I just chose not to. It was a choice, right? I made up whatever excuses I wanted, but I could have done 5 minutes of productivity time. I just chose not to. So it's more like what's most important to us. Like, was it more important for me to rest and watch TV all day than to set aside 5 minutes and feel good about that? Probably not. I didn't feel that great about it today. Okay. These are the most common ways that fear and resistance are going to show up in people. I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit because I think I'm on like slide 6, out of many. So these are the most common ways that it shows up in people. This is like, I'll write later, I'll do it when I have time. Um, People say this about everything. I was a personal trainer. I'll go to the gym when I have time. I'll go to the gym when I have energy. Those aren't the people who make long-lasting goals and habits. Those are the people that push it off for years and years until they can't ignore it anymore. And that happens with writing too. So you don't just write later, you have to make time for what you're passionate about, the way that you do for other people, the way that you do for chores. You have to schedule it. You have to put it into you have to time block it. You have to set boundaries around it. This is my time. Um, yeah. Then there's those who hide. Maybe you're afraid of judgment. This one was definitely for me. I was ashamed to be writing romance. I was 17 and people didn't talk about it, but I was reading it, and especially smutty romance, like super smutty. I don't even know like where did I even get this stuff from? Um, but nobody was talking about it. It wasn't as popular as it is now, and I just could not embrace that part of me yet. So I hid it. I was ashamed, and obviously that's going to play a big part in me becoming who I'm supposed to be. I shouldn't be ashamed of that. Yeah, smut for the win. Um, and then there's the planner. There's someone who, like, I do this one probably the most often is I get distracted and I procrastinate by doing things that trick me into thinking I'm being productive. So anybody here have Canva? Like that's literally my biggest one. I make book playlists. Like I could not even tell you how many book playlists I have. I literally spent like an hour and a half on it the other day, making a book playlist and listening to songs and reading through the lyrics. And I'm like, oh my God, I could literally like just be writing the damn book instead. Um, so these are all going to be tests as well. You have to think like, what is my priority? Is my priority making a book playlist right now or a Pinterest board? Or is it writing? Like, is creating something new the priority? And I can do these things, like in another time. If you're swapping one out for the other, then, maybe it's not the best use of your time. Everything else should come after. Create first. So then writer's block. I'm sure all of you guys have heard this word. Um, Here's the definition, the condition of being unable to think of what to write or how to proceed with writing. This is my opinion. I don't think it's real. But bear with me. Um, I'll get into that in a second, but I have another question. So I want you to look at an average day of yours. And then when do you have the most mental energy in your day? For me, it's when I wake up like first thing in the morning, or like going to bed at like 12 a.m. and for some reason I need to clean my entire room. But when do you get shit done? Like, what's the time in your day where you're like, this is my time? I always get stuff done at this time. Keep this in mind. Oh, also someone, yeah, why not just open Pinterest? I could just like never create anything again except for Pinterest boards. Okay, so continuing on with writer's block. Writers aren't randomly motivated or they're not more frequently inspired than other people or other creatives. What separates a writer from someone who wishes to write is a writer gives themselves permission to write badly and they do it even when they don't feel motivated to do it. It's the same with like any other habit. If you want to get your dream body, you don't just work out when you feel like it because you'll never feel like it. You work out because you told yourself that you would. You keep that promise to yourself. So I believe that you don't have writer's block, but that you're waiting for motivation and inspiration that may never come. So bear with me, I have more to say about this. So we give writer's block this power. We've created a whole word for it because we're tired. We feel unmotivated to write. Maybe we're overstimulated. Maybe we've been too busy in our big day and the ideas aren't flowing, but we've stopped being intentional. And that's the big part of this. So maybe like okay, there's also such thing as like someone who like makes the time and sits down to write and stares at the screen and can't get anything out. But like take a look at your day. We thought of that question earlier. Like when do you get shit done? When's the time in your day that you always get shit done? Does it doesn't it make sense for like someone who works 12 hours a day? They get their kids ready for bed. They finally sit down to write because that's the only time that they're able to make in their day. And then they can't because their brain is completely fried because they saved whatever energy they had left for what they truly wanted to do with their day. Like I totally understand like their responsibilities, kids, family, work, everything. But you can't expect yourself to, like become a consistent writer if you're just or get through writer's block if you're just saving whatever scraps of energy you have left for it. That's not how it works. So you have to be able to like control your time. People who don't have any other time in their day to work out, they get up at 5 a.m. to do it. So maybe that's what you have to do too. Now, coming back to fear. So, writer's block, it's just like another form of fear. It's just like a fancy word for it. These are the most common types. They're also the most common blocks that you're going to find as obstacles. So, you have to identify what your block is, and it'll help you to get rid of it. Feel free to take like screenshots of anything too. I don't know if I'm like blocking too much, but you can also like mute it. Oh, yeah, Sam, go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna say I really love that graphic that you had of all of the different types of fear. Can you pop back to it one
Oh,
moment so I can screenshot it?
absolutely.
Amazing.
You'll notice I only have arrows pointing to four of them. The other two, I wouldn't necessarily say that they're fear, but they are obstacles, and they're ways that, show up as tests and to see how we can get through those.
Perfect. Thank
If
you.
anybody wants like screenshots or anything of like specific slides, I can also send you guys the slides later. But then yeah, we can like loop back to it at the end too. Okay, so here's a typical writing timeline. You're more likely to face blocks along the way and you're more likely to face certain blocks depending on where you are in the process. And you can work backwards to identify what it is. So you might recognize that you have a block, but not know which one it is. You have to figure out how the fear is showing up for you. And often it's going to be like repetitive. So for me, it is perfectionism. This shows up at pretty much every stage, except the planning typically, but it can show up anywhere. But I want you to pretend that whatever stage you're in, so is your best friend. Maybe just right now, your best friend's a writer. They're in the same stage. What would you tell them to stop worrying about? Because it's hard to take ourselves out of it. We just feel like the world is ending. So like for me, I said my biggest fear, my biggest block was perfection. It would show up at every stage for me. It's it keeps coming back, and it's the reason why I didn't publish my stories for 7 years after creating them because I edited them over and over and over again. I like literally edited my first book over 10 times all by myself until I didn't even recall what it was in the first place. I didn't know the purpose of it. And there's a reason for it, which I'll get to. But most of it had to do with perfectionism. It just wasn't good enough. It was good enough to share with Wattpad, but it wasn't good enough to share with the entire world. It wasn't good enough to share as a book, as a proper book. And so I held myself back of that, like back from that. So how'd I get out of that? I had someone tell me, I joined a writer group, and he said, publish the damn book already. And I said, okay. Like it was like actually as easy as that. I just needed someone to see me. I had to surround myself with people who were doing the thing that I wanted to be doing and not around people who were just saying, well, what if it doesn't work out? Like, what if nobody reads it? What if you spend all this time on it and it never comes to anything? D the what if people, you don't give them your dreams. You don't share your dreams with them ever. Like hold them close to your heart and you share them with your delusional best friend who will believe in you if you say you're gonna like I don't know, freaking jump off a building and fly. Like that's those are the people that you share your dreams with. So how to write anyways. Once you've identified what's stopping you, you can now overcome those obstacles. So if I sit down, like this is my problem. If I realize that every time I sit down to have lunch, I'm gonna turn on an episode of a show and I'm just gonna watch it for as long as it takes me to eat. It takes me 10 minutes to eat, not 50. Now I'm 5 hours into binge watching Bridgerton, and maybe I shouldn't watch TV while I eat. Like maybe that's my obstacle. I'm still getting through it. But Bridgerton does take priority at the moment. But am I happy about it? Like am I happy about not writing? No, I'm not. Um so like maybe when you're writing, it comes up you're like writing a hockey romance and you're like, I actually don't know anything about hockey. I need to go learn everything there is to know about the sport. It's actually possible to just write insert fact about hockey, insert gameplay, insert this later and come back to it. Like you can totally just keep the flow of the scene. I know, it's crazy. Try it. And then yeah, so the first draft is about creating. It's not about refining. You don't need to have all the answers. You're simply just outlining with words, creating scenes, characters, and an arc, and then you come back to it later. It's not that deep. So something that I learned from Atomic Habits, which is like a really great self-help book about habits, set a timer for 5 minutes. You tell yourself you're going to write for 5 minutes. If you do, you congratulate yourself on your win. If you end up writing for 5 hours because you're on a roll, then like don't stop yourself. Totally done that before. But you don't rely on motivation and inspiration to get the job done. You have to rely on like the promises that you make to yourself. You have to keep them. So before we leave today, we're not leaving yet. I'm not letting you guys go. But before we leave today, just think about it. You're gonna decide when, where, and what your next 5 minute writing session is gonna look like, and then you're gonna drop it in chat to hold yourself accountable. So if you have it now, totally fine. If not, we're gonna come back to it. Um, if you're just like writing every day all day and like this isn't your problem, then like whatever. But You are always going to have the same 24 hours in a day, regardless. You can't create more time, but you can change what you focus on. And that's the key. You have to write out a physical list of priorities and keep it. Like if I'm like writing is my number one priority, but somehow I'm spending 8 hours on TV every day and 5 minutes on writing, like maybe my priorities aren't holding. Just just maybe. Or if you're in the car for an hour every day and you're like just always listening to Bad Bunny, maybe you could listen to a podcast about craft instead. Maybe it'll like get you into it, or maybe you'll learn something. Either way, it's a win. You can also time log. This is a really good one. I don't want to talk too much about time logging, but like for me, this was like I did a really strict time log and I woke up and I was like, wake up at 8 a.m. and snooze my alarm 6 times because I had to be honest with myself. Like literally snooze my, and it was like 9 minutes every time. I don't know why. And then grab my phone and doom scroll for an hour and 45 minutes. Like, it's like, where's the time going? Why is the day ending? Maybe it's maybe it's in all these energy leaks that you have all throughout the day. It's probably a lot of doom scrolling. That's most of us. Okay, so now we're building our process. This is like our identity, getting into the process a little bit more. So writing looks different for everyone. You have to keep that in mind. You can't just like go watch videos and just like become someone else. That won't work. Or like maybe it will, but I don't know. Everyone works differently. Now that you know a little bit more about like your identity as a writer, you can build a process that will be sustainable. That is the thing. You don't want to build a process that's going to lead you to burnout. It needs to be sustainable. So this is where you stop, chasing inspiration and you start creating conditions that help you to show up no matter what. When the fear is loud, when the obstacles are, you know, blocking your way, when people are saying, what if, you rely on the system that you're creating. You have to trust your process, not the process. You don't need to trust everybody's process either. So this is like, like writing 3,000 words a day is not realistic or sustainable for everyone, especially not for like a person with a full-time job who's a mother of three. Like, what, where is that time coming from? Like, surely I don't know, but maybe you can create more sustainable goals. I can write 1,000 words I wake up at 5 a.m. because I've decided to create time in my day, stuff like that. Um, So these are some of the variables. These are common variables that are going to affect your writing for better or worse. So these are things like environment, your noise level, your location, whether it's at your desk. Percy, again? Whether it's at your desk or you have to go to a cafe. I know I do. Like I said, I won't get work done unless I leave my house. This is the time of day, lighting, candles, whatever. Then there's habits. There's your opening and closing rituals. You do this before you start writing. You do this after. This is your, like your reward systems. You track your word count. You have a writing schedule. You do weekly writing sprints with a specific person. Then there's tools. So that's like laptop, notebook, whatever, whiteboard. Maybe you work best with tons of sticky notes. And then accountability. This is a huge one. This is your writing friends or your writing partners or your Discord, your community, your local writing group, posting updates on social media so that other people hold you accountable or so that you have to keep the promises that you make to yourself, and like deadlines, internal or external. I have to outsource externally by hiring editors or whatever so that I can actually keep to my deadlines. Biggest thing. I just read the chat. That's funny. Squirt bottle. Okay, so community. This is like game changer, end all, be all. What you continually look at, you will begin to produce. So I got it into my head. I brought my dreams to someone, to a what if person, and sure enough, they met me with what if. And so I thought to myself, I need to start surrounding myself with the kind of people who aren't going to question me, who are already doing the things that I want to be doing. I need to create or find a community of these people. I need to start, seeing mentors. And so I joined a local writing group, and this was just like the best thing I could have done. I have become such a consistent writer since then. That's also where I met the person who said, just publish it already. And so I decided to. Like, it was that easy. Like, I'd been missing out on this crazy, I don't know. But we're not meant to do things alone. So, like, we're just not built that way. And even if you are the most introverted person on the planet, you can still thrive in community and you will thrive in community. You just have to find the kind of one that, like, find what it looks like for you. So, like, think about you're building a house. Like, go do that alone. Go build a house by yourself. No. Like, no, I can't do that. But if I have like a group of people, like even if none of us know anything about building a house, it's still gonna be easier than if I tried to do it by myself. Like we can just like thrive on delusion. Like, yeah, we're building this house together. I couldn't even carry like the planks by myself to, I don't know, let alone lift them above my head or anyways. You're putting like time and effort and energy and resources into this thing. Doing it on your own, does that make any sense? Like, surely not. So try to find your group of people who you can do it with. It could just be best friends who don't write. Maybe it's like readers, it's Instagram, it's Discord, whatever, but like you must find a community if you don't already have one. Um and like eventually you're going to feel doubtful. Like their fears will come in and it might be too much for you on your own, but you got to get that person who's going to hold the ladder. Like you're at the top, you can't balance, but someone's holding the ladder and they're telling you you can do it. Of course you can. Like they're going to keep telling you you need reassurance. Like we need I'm not crying by the way. I just but yeah, so anyways, community. I've narrowed it down to four types. These are like you need all of them. I'm like, go look for all of them. Most writers need all of them. Craft, this is gonna be like, why can't I? Okay. This is where you learn. This is like school. It's also your life. Like every moment of your life up to this point has provided you with priceless curriculum and ideas and some lessons that you had to learn the hard way, like the lessons that you had to learn more times and harder than everyone else. That also answers the question of what do I write about? That. Like, what is the lesson that you had to learn harder than anyone else? For me, it was like literal, like physical pain. Like, I just was in pain my whole life. And now I'm like, well, maybe someone else out there gets it. So I'm going to write about it. Surely it's going to make someone feel less alone because I needed that book. I needed to read that book when I was younger. And so I chose to write it instead. Accountability, huge, so huge. This is what's going to keep you consistent. This is your like uh sorry, this is like your friends, your beta writers, your writing buddies. This is my Sam, this is my Maria. Like these are the people that I see daily, weekly. It can be Zoom calls, it can be in person. It's so writing's so hard. Like this discipline, and it's so lonely. And most of us have full-time jobs and responsibilities, and maybe you want to make time for writing, but you're not. This is where your accountability buddy comes in. I have been countless people's accountability buddy as a personal trainer, and like I know for a fact most people just like won't do it unless they're paying for it. So whether it's working out or writing, you need to find someone else who maybe they're struggling with their own thing. Maybe you guys can body double. You FaceTime them, they clean their room, and if that'd be nice if they clean your room. They clean their room, and you are just like chilling writing. Maybe you guys mute yourselves, whatever it takes. This is someone who helps you show up. Next, emotional. This is your emotional support person. This is your delusional best friend. This is your loving mom. This is your partner. This is not a job for that what if person. This is a job that you give very selectively. They will support you and they believe in you no matter what. And this is the most important job. You need your yes man. They understand you and they celebrate you every step of the way. And you showed up on a Monday and now you deserve a coffee that you bought for $7 or a donut, like whatever it is. And they remind you why you started in the first place. You need all of these people. And if you can find it in one person, that's amazing. That's amazing. I've done that. I got that. So it exists. And then there's professional. So if you're semi-serious, and this is like a term that I use loosely. This can be found online. This is like beta readers, whatever. But if you're thinking of publishing or whatever, you need a team. So this is editors, artists, publishers, ARC teams. This is like specialists or people who understand what you're going through on a structural level and not just, they're not just there to, you know, fluff your feathers or whatever. They understand what you're going through and they know that it's not easy to do alone, and they're there to help you on a deeper level. Because not all, you know, not all nice words are helpful. Surely they keep us going though. Okay, almost done. Character connection. This is a special mention for me. This has basically nothing to do with anything else, but this was like such a big problem for me in my planning stage that I decided to incorporate into this. Um, Strong characters make writing a lot easier. And now I learned this like the hard way in my first professional editing session. And like it was like a slap to the face. Like I got like 21 pages on why my characters weren't developed properly and how they had no, sorry, I had like hair in my mouth. Why they just like had no like purpose. My book wasn't about anything. Like so many things happened, but it wasn't about anything. It didn't have a solid conclusion. So wherever you fall on like pantser, plancer, somewhere in between, it's really important that you know your character's motivations and their goals before you write or really early on. I didn't, and it made ending the book like nearly impossible. And even then, it didn't make any sense. My book is so completely different. So, like, how are you even supposed to wrap up a book that doesn't have a purpose in the first place? You don't, or badly. So, I have gained this invaluable resource from my editor that I would like to share with you guys. It's called the GMC. I'm going to skip this part, but basically, it is a table. Feel free to screenshot it. That would be so funny if I'm just like in the middle. But basically, you have to go over what your characters, so you do this for each character, each important character, at least your main characters, if not your side characters, to make it like fully well-rounded. Or if you write in a series like I do, important to know your side characters too, because eventually, maybe they're going to be in the forefront of your book on the next one. So internal goal, internal motivation, internal conflict, external, all of those, and then romantic as well. Um, I have included an example for anybody who maybe works better with this. So this is Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. He's, you know, amazing. One of my favorite characters ever. And then this is his GMC or my version of his GMC. So this is an example. Feel free to screenshot this one as well. I will be moving on. If anybody'd like me to come back, I totally can. And then I made my own. So it's not as easy to say as GMC. It's like an Eker, but whatever its name is, I made this one myself as I was playing around with GMC. This just allowed me to go a little bit deeper, and it made it almost a little bit simpler for me. So this is now what I use to flesh out my characters' motivations and goals. And it's more about like fear and desire, um, whatever it may be in whatever circumstance. Okay, we are getting to the end. We're almost done and then we'll have questions, but some very big mistakes that I learned the hard way that I don't want you to learn the hard way. This is the end. Okay. So one, there is no perfect idea. Some people wait for years to write their passion project. Like they have something that just absolutely lights them up, but they're not talented enough and they're not ready to write it, so they hold off. I'm going to tell you that's what first drafts are for. If you're sitting on that, write what you want now. Like, stop waiting to get better. You get better by writing. It will get so much better in the revision process. You can revise it as many times as you want, but just write. Like, write the thing that lights you on fire because people will feel that. Like, people will read that and they'll feel your love and your passion through your words. Two, stop comparing your book or your idea or your characters to someone else's because like for I used to go to the gym and I would see beautiful women in such amazing shape and it would discourage me, but I didn't realize I was just comparing my day one to their 365, 700, like 5,000, and that's so unfair to both of us. That's discrediting all the effort that they put into making themselves the person that they want to be. And it's not giving me anything either. I'm not getting anything out of that except for discouragement. So that author that you're comparing yourself to, they had a book one too. They had a first draft too, and it will probably never see the light of day just like yours won't. That's what revisions are for. That's what first drafts are for. It's for you to explore your world, knowing that nobody is going to see all the mistakes that you make because you're going to learn from them. And what's going to make your book great is that it's not going to be someone else's. It's not how well you're able to imitate someone else. It's your unique voice and your ability to tell stories. It's every moment of your life that has accumulated to this day and your experience. And that is what the world needs to hear. That is what people need to read. Because if you think people won't be able to relate, you're wrong. Someone out there needs that book, not another copycat of someone else. Three, short and sweet, stop over planning, stop under planning. If you're over planning, briefly research structure, read books in the same genre, but then just go for it. If you are under planning and you've noticed that, you have an idea, write a first draft without any structure, like good luck writing the ending. That's what happened to me. The book will probably fall short in terms of like word count or pacing or continue on forever. So figure that part out before you go into it. Oh my God, Percy, I swear to God. And then four, stop trying to do it all alone. We talked a lot about community, but just because you can't see them doesn't mean they're not there. You have to look harder, or maybe you have to create one yourself. But I promise everything will start to change when you start surrounding yourself with people who look like and are doing the thing that you want to do. I kept giving my ideas and sharing my thoughts with the what if people, and they would take them and they would try to put fear into them that wasn't mine. They would give me their fear, their what ifs, because they didn't understand. They didn't try to. They didn't want to. The way that their life had gone isn't the same way that I wanted mine to go. We had different paths, and yet people would expect me to walk theirs and still get to mine. That's not how it works. So surround yourself with people who are living the kind of life that you want, and yeah, and you can become that person too. Five, last but not least, stop waiting for perfection. This was my big one, perfectionism. I literally can't count how many times I edited my first book, and it took me over 7 years until someone just told me, publish it already. And I literally just couldn't let it go. Like it just wasn't ready. it won't ever be perfect. And I didn't think about that. Like he said it's never going to be perfect. You have to publish it anyway. You have to pass it off to someone else. You have to move on from it because you will literally never grow if you stay stuck in the past. If you just keep editing the same book, you'll never write another. So it's a sad truth that I had to realize that like how many books can I have written over 7 years? I wrote three in less than a year. Like, could have had so many more, but like, why are we just like lingering on the past like that? I don't need to. I've moved on. I can write now. Oh, I've gone past the time. If anybody has to leave, I totally understand. But I would like to do questions if anybody has any, and if you want to stay overtime, that's totally cool. If not, I will record it and maybe share on my Instagram. I'm so thank you. I'm so thankful for everybody who showed up today, though, and stayed. This is my first chat, and I was telling them before, but I literally used to like cry in high school, like just doing any sort of speech. And so I really wanted to share all of this with you. And I want you to know that you are a writer, even if you write, especially if you write inconsistently or imperfectly, you are a writer because you write. That's all. That's all it takes. There's no imposter syndrome necessary. You're doing it. Or maybe you're thinking about it and you're going to do it now. But I'd love to hear like your updates. Yeah, so I'll open it up to questions. This is my social stuff. I don't know how to make the chat bigger. I'm working on it. Okay, Maria.
Can you hear me properly?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I have two questions, but they're sort of related to the same thing.
Awesome.
My biggest struggles come from, I guess, confidence is like the linking thing between these two things. One is like how to get past just like the mental barrier of like people are gonna read this and that makes me feel vulnerable and embarrassed. Um, I have spent so much time just hiding my writing from everyone in my life and my socials, and it just takes so much energy, and it feels counterproductive because what you want is like ultimately for people to read it.
Mm-hmm.
So how to like overcome that and like put yourself out there in
Mm.
that sense?
Well, for me, I literally just like went about it the probably the hard way is I literally just th like threw myself into the deep end on Wattpad where I had an idea and I immediately shared it, and for some reason I it like allowed me to get past that fear of because I truly didn't think anybody would read it. But then they were, and I realized like maybe it's a good thing. Like maybe I have so much to learn from these comments, and like I got a lot of hate too. Like people just didn't like my characters, and I took it so personally, and looking back I'm like, "Oh, that's so fair. Like they kind of sucked." Um but that confidence, how are you supposed to get it if you haven't already done it? You are exploring uncharted waters. The confidence doesn't just come. You don't. Okay, I like this quote. I think I posted about it on Instagram. Action precedes um motivation, or identity precedes action. So you have to choose that you are who you say you are before you do it. Like you don't just one day you're writing forever like I did and I'm like, maybe I am a writer." Like I was a writer all the way back then. I just didn't decide that I was, and I didn't allow myself to feel that kind of confidence. Like you have to own it first. Like this is one, your identity, and then two, like you're gonna put in the work to prove that you are who you say you are. So if I'd say anything, it's yeah, it's that like are you willing to decide that that is who you say you are, like that you are a writer and that you're going to share it knowing that people are going to read it someday, but you don't have to be scared because you're going to have a team, you're going to have people to boost you up first. You're gonna get confidence by doing it. Like the more you write, the more confident you're gonna feel about what it is that you're writing, about your story and about the purpose that you have that you're gonna share with people. I hope that I hope that like
Yeah.
answers something.
Yeah.
I just feel
Yeah.
so strongly about it.
It's
I'm like,
I
you gotta
I
do
know.
it.
I
You
know.
gotta
It's
do
just
it to feel confident.
it
It's practice. It's putting in reps. Like I didn't feel confident the first day in the gym either, or like the 365th day, but you know, eventually I'm like, I kind of know what I'm doing. Like I got some muscle now, right? Like
yeah.
it didn't just happen overnight. I had to practice.
Well, the second question I had, it comes kind of hand in hand with that. With I feel like my biggest problem with writing is I sit down and I start writing an idea, and then I tell myself like, no, that's a terrible idea, and then I just don't look for a different one. I guess like it just they come to me and I put them down in my notes, and then when I sit down to write it, I'm like, no, that's stupid. Um,
Mm,
because I try to be a plotter, but then I try to make the structure of my book, and I tell myself I can't move forward unless it's brilliant, and that gets me so stuck. And
yeah.
I guess I was it kind of comes with what you said. Like, do you feel like that's just practice? Like the writing muscle needs to be trained, I guess.
It surely is a muscle. I like the way you put it like that. Yeah, like the brain. The brain is a muscle, right? But
Yeah.
when you put it like that, I do think the two are different, but I did touch on this earlier where sorry, okay. I used to do this too. Like my 802 notes are proof of it. I have like 30,000 words down for multiple novels that I've just completely abandoned. And like you really you must. And it is a mental thing. This part isn't practice, but you must let go of this idea of this perfect story because it doesn't exist. Like the perfect story for you is going to be what like lights you on fire. Like I know you've had those ideas and you're like, I'm not ready to write that one yet because I'm not good enough yet.
Yeah.
Like that was for you. I was talking to
Marina,
you.
me parece que el gato
There
está
is
abajo.
like that idea that just like that you feel so passionate about that just lights you on fire. Like that's the one. You're gonna keep coming back to it forever. Like it won't stop. It's not gonna stop calling to you. You're gonna hear it and you're gonna see it in your dreams. You have to write that one. Like that's the only one. You're if you keep coming up with new things, like write them down. Totally. That's why I have the notes. I never want to forget about them. But if I just keep planning every story, I'm never going to write one. So that is one of your obstacles that you've recognized and you literally said it out loud. Like you keep trying to plan everything and you never write. So stop planning. You have to stop something eventually because that's become your obstacle. It's no longer helping you in the writing process. It's not helping you create anything.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Anybody have any other questions or it's getting dark here now. My lighting isn't perfect. Oh, Ruth, you said you're struggling with one scene. That's so fun. Oh, yeah, Sam.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I just wanted to chime in as well with what Maria was saying. Um,
Yeah,
all of the things that Maria was saying are actually just so relatable, and I've been there, and my heart goes out to you. It's so hard to overcome those obstacles that you literally cannot see the other side of. You cannot imagine what it's like to actually have that confidence until you start to build it. And it's just wild. And it just reminded me of one thing that I heard at one point, which was about at some point you have to choose whether to make decisions based on your emotions or based on your values. And really stuck with me in terms of what am I going to do, and is it going to be out of fear or out of something I want to to pursue.
That's a really good one. As soon as you said that, you continued on to say with fear, but I was gonna say, like, at what point do we decide that our fear is just not gonna have its hands on the wheel anymore, and we're taking over? Um, Ruth
There's a
had,
great question in the chat as well.
yeah, I was just gonna say Ruth had a question regarding community building. So, um, I accidentally built a community. I didn't mean to. That was weird, but I started writing and putting it out on Wattpad. Truly did not think people were gonna read it. And I met my best friend, Maria, that way. Um, but like overnight, I was super consistent because I was so depressed and I had nothing else to do, like going to pre-med classes. That wasn't my priority. Um, and so I just like started writing super consistently, and then people started reading, but then they were so encouraging and they were like, you must make the next chapter. I need it right now." And so I said, "Well, I have nothing better to do. I don't need to go to the class. I can just write instead." And I accidentally built a community of like over four, I think it's like 40, between 40 and 45,000 people or something on Wattpad. And it's much smaller, like a more tight-knit kind of on Instagram, um but yeah, I made it about, well, I guess it created itself like halfway through the story. I think that's probably when it started kind of like blowing up a little bit. But I like didn't mean to skip that part about like the confidence building because I truly wasn't confident in my story. I was absolutely ashamed of it. It was my therapy. Like it was like a journal. Um, and then people started reading it and I was like, "Oh shit, like I didn't mean for this to happen." And then it kept going and I just had no choice but to like either buck up and deal with the consequences. Um but right now I'm being much more intentional about the community building, so I'd say definitely like my new answer is after. I'm trying so hard on Instagram to just like show up and be as authentic as possible, like as a writer, and so I'd say, yeah, started building like true community after I finished my story, and finding people who I looked at their lives and wanted to live them, like joining the local writer group. And it's never too late to find community. Maria, it's so dark.
This wasn't a question. It was more, if you don't mind me jumping on your answer
Mm.
about the community thing. Like there's like another side of if you're not in a situation like you where it just like sprung out of like the ground. I feel like the way that I have found like a small community, but like super important. And the way that it started, like me and Alex met through. I read her book on Wattpad, and I was doing the same with like a bunch of different authors. Like I read the book, and if I liked it, I just messaged the author. I messaged her thinking she would never respond to me. Like
Thank
she
God
would
you
never
did.
see it. She had so many followers, so many comments, so many reads and stuff that I thought like she's never gonna answer me. But I just reached out being like, hey, I love your work. It's like really inspiring. And sometimes it's just that, just like finding a meeting point, especially in like reading and writing. It's such like a tight knit community. Like everyone is chasing the same kind of dream. Everyone knows how you feel. So it's sort of easy if you put yourself out there and you reach out to people that are doing what you like. um,
Yeah, like who
you're
knew?
you're very likely to find someone who'll just reply to you, and then there is your first person, and then you build off of that.
Yeah, like like building on back off that. Hopefully this doesn't end. I scheduled it to end at 5:15, but I hope it doesn't like end before me. But if I get cut off, bye. But basically, like I used to get like tons, like a lot of messages, truly, and like I'd go through and respond to them all. But for some reason, Maria's was just like it was just different, and it just really like what she said really resonated with me, and she was fangirling, like to be honest. She thought I was like a 40-year-old woman just like writing these amazingly intricate, beautiful novels about young adults. They weren't. They were super two-dimensional, but her taste has since changed. Anyways, but like truly, like you never know what a random message to a stranger who writes or reads the same things as you is going to turn into, because we now have this amazing friendship that has lasted longer than any other friendship I've ever had in my entire life, that spans over continents and oceans. Like it's just yeah, so like just send a message. Like sometimes you got to be the one to put yourself out there. And it's really hard, like this fear of rejection, but like just maybe send one every day. Like just be like, I will send one and get rejected every day. Like, and that's okay. Like that's totally okay. Maybe they just don't have time. It's not about me, it's about them. Like seriously, like what's the worst thing that could happen? They just like don't answer. That's it. That's the worst thing. And like, is that so bad? Yeah. Exposure therapy. Oh yeah, see, that's so lovely. Like you reached out. You're already doing it. You're already like building community. I hope to see you guys back, and you know, we can we can add this to our communities. And yeah, it really is like if you get anything out of today, that's the most important part. And I know that you guys are here. You guys are all here today because you're part of a community, and that's, you know, that's how you even found me. Um, but yeah, I'm just so thankful to have you guys here, and yeah, feel free to like share anything on socials or yeah, if does anybody have any like slides that they didn't get to screenshot or anything like that? Because I can always go back before we end it. Um, but yeah, I can't believe you guys like listened to me talk for an hour. That's awesome. You want me to do it again? I'll do it again. If there's something you guys want a masterclass on, I can just like pick one of these and just like go for it.
Encore, encore.
Yeah. Okay, okay. So the same thing again. Let's go. Ready?
Yeah, starting right now.
So that was the warm up.
One more
Yeah,
time.
I'm warm now.
I love that.
But yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to head out soon, but thank you so much,
yeah.
Alex, Alexandra Marie. This was really, really lovely. I was really excited about this just to be here and support you, but I actually found myself listening to the whole thing and being like, wow, these are really wonderful thoughts that you're sharing.
Awesome. I'm so glad. See, that's it. That's all I need. I do this for like one person. I'm like, if I can just if I can just help someone, just one person, like that one person who was in my comments, that one person who sent me the message who's now my best friend, like just one person who can get something out of it, then it's all worth it. And the price of like possibly being rejected and nobody showing up today, you know, it's not so bad. But people shut up.
Well, just be ready. Be ready because I will be harassing you and send DMs all the time.
Amazing. Reach out about anything or anything that I
Wonderful.
talked today. And also, I saw you'd love Ruth wants one on character building. That would be awesome. I'm so into that. I am like starting to read craft books on that, and I have so much to say about it. So that's like, if I was gonna make one about anything, that just feels like confirmation. So for sure, I will. I'll get started right now. Um, yeah, if you guys want to reach out, I am I would love to be a resource slash friend slash accountability buddy for anyone. This is literally my job now, so I have so much time.
Amazing. Thank you so much. All right,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
gonna pop out.
Maria's
Thank
an
you.
editor, by the
You're
way.
amazing.
Bye. Thank you for coming and bringing people.
Bye. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, just for you guys who are left, Maria is an editor, who has gone through school, like publishing school. So
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Well,
I just
good to
Here
know.
need to
I
build
Yes.
some
provided.
experience.
Here I provide. Be added
Thank
to your
you.
portfolio.
Thank you.
Okay, well,
Thank
I guess I
you.
should wrap it up now. I'm just like reluctant to say.
Yeah.
Let us
Thank you so much
go.
for
No, I'm
coming.
kidding.
Thank you guys so much for coming. Okay,
Thank you for
well,
having
this was
us.
awesome. It was so nice to meet you guys. I'm gonna send you
Nice
guys.
to meet you too. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.